In this video, I'm going to do a beginner's tier list for Naruto Storm 4 or Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 Road to Boruto. It's on the PlayStation, on the Xbox, PC, and I think Switch. And this is for 2023, and it's about 6 or 7 years after the game first came out. And I think I have a pretty good handle on this to help you out. So it's going to be for beginners and for players that have been playing for a long time, but quite haven't gotten the success that they want. This is to help you get those initial steps or those first steps to get into the game, to enjoy the game more, play the game more. First thing I'll say, very important, if you like the character, just play the character. I think the most important thing is that you really like the character, and if you like them, if you have a connection with them, then you should play that character. Now, some characters, even though you like them, or I may like them, you probably shouldn't play them because they're not that good for you. And like mechanically, you'll be held back and you might not be having a good time, right? Then there's characters like that you shouldn't play because they're too advanced, perhaps, right now. Or you should play at the beginning if you want to play them later on, right? So like if you can envision a time where you put a lot of time into the game and you want to play those characters later on, play those characters. In the no category, meaning I don't think you should play these characters if you're a beginner, right? I put Tsunade here. One is she doesn't have a projectile. She has tracking, which is really good, but her Heaven Kick of Pain, the tracking breaks or falls apart. A lot of the times, if the frame rate drops or if there's lag, she just doesn't port into the game properly because of the bad delay-based netcode. There's no rollback netcode. It's not a professional-based netcode. Most Bandai Namco games, fighting games, don't have a very good netcode. I wouldn't use her as a beginner, and I'm saying this from someone who's like a huge Tsunade fan. I really like her. I try using her all the time in this game, and it just doesn't work out for me for many reasons. So that's a no. Hard no. Mu. He's pretty much all jutsu and tilt. His air combos and his ground combos are really bad. He's slow. I would not advise a beginner to use this character. He's a super cool character, but don't use him. Hinata. Her jutsu's not very good. It doesn't track. It's not that reliable. It has very short range. She doesn't have a lot of mobility or movement. She doesn't do well into the projectile-based meta that the game has, and you'll constantly be having to chase people across the map. Don't use the character. Also, one of my favorite characters in the game. Play as her if you want to, but I say no. Now, all the puppets, I say no. You have to completely learn a different way to play the game that's specific to these puppets. And a lot of the things that you learn, right, with Sasori and Kankuro, like Shippuden Kankuro and all that, the stuff that you learn, the techniques that you learn are not as highly or easily transferable. And their guard breaks easier. And it's harder to catch your opponent. So I would say no for all of the puppets, like the PTS, pre-time skip, Kankuro, Sasori, the older Kankuros. Next character, Jugo. Character that I use a lot. I would definitely not recommend this character. His jutsu is not very good. It's been nerfed, doesn't track. Players that play the game a long time, I never see anyone using this character. Some people do use it. He's almost never used. Even though he has a stun lock, which is really good for him and it helps him a lot, you're not going to have a good time, right? You're going to be struggling a lot to fight a lot of things unnecessarily with this character. Kid Sasuke or PTS Sasuke, I wouldn't recommend him either. This is the one that doesn't even have a good awakening. He has good speed. He doesn't have high damage in his combos, we'll say that. The Chidori is kind of tricky and more advanced to use, and the Fireball is pretty good. You could use him with a Fireball, but Taka Sasuke, I also wouldn't recommend this. His Chidori is really good, one of the best in the game. There's a lot better Sasukes to use for beginners and for people trying to rank up. Like, even for me, when I use this Sasuke, I don't do as well as I could if I used some of the other Sasukes in the game. So I wouldn't recommend him. If you like him, use him, but you're just going to be losing in a lot of situations where you could be winning. And once the game lags or this frame rate drop or delay in the game, you automatically lose to the high-end characters I'm going to recommend at the end of this video. Unmasked Obito doesn't do very well. A lot of people know and have found out that he's not very good in this game, I would recommend the Masked Obito or War Tobi, White Mask War Tobi. There's no reason why you should play this character over War Tobi, the White Mask Tobi. He's just a lot better than this character. This character has a lot of pitfalls. I wouldn't recommend him. Personally, I use him. I like to use him. He's difficult to use even for skilled players, for skilled veterans, for very skilled players, or for above average players. He's not really a pick that people pick. It's unfortunate because he's super cool. People like him. His jutsu is really, really good. His grab's pretty good too. One of my favorite characters in the game, but unfortunately, he's not that great to use. You're not going to have a lot of success with him. You just don't see him used that often either when people are trying to play competitively or rank up. If you want to have fun with your friends, of course, everything is different. Play the characters that you want to play. Don't use Kiba. When his dog gets knocked down, he's unplayable. You can't defend, you can't attack. There's a lot of things you can't do. It'll confuse you. You won't even realize it's happening. It's a problem. You know, it's a really big problem. So his jutsu is really good if you don't do any kind of switching. And you just kind of pop them up. But his jutsu is so much better in Storm 2 where it knocks you back and there's strike back. This pops you up. If it did knockback, strike back, it would be a whole different story. But it pops you up, and pop up is more of an advanced strategy that most people don't even use. So I can't even recommend this character at all. Most dash cuts, I'll say don't use or maybe use. Now, Han is in the don't use with the PTS Choji. And the reason why I think that you probably shouldn't use dash cuts is because in the long run, it'll make you a weaker player, right? It'll make you rely on the dash cut. And what is a dash cut? A dash cut is when someone dashes towards you. When your support gauge is up, these dash cut characters like Han and Choji, right, and Might Guy and Yamato, they will automatically pop up and stop the dash. Like they'll just pop up out of thin air like Houdini, and they'll stop the dash. Now that's great. So it's a double-edged sword, right? It's like it's really, really good for beginners, and it's really good for some people that like that playstyle. But a lot of times people don't like it. They ban those characters in a social setting. They look down on that kind of thing. Of course, if you're just playing ranked, you're just playing for fun, you don't care what people think, do whatever you want. But in the long term, the other thing that's really bad about dash cut is that you can't switch into the characters as easily back and forth. And what you do gain with a kind of like this wall that pops up out of nowhere, you lose with the ability to make choices and to be mobile, right? And to switch around and to do all these kind of interesting maneuvers with dodging and countering and parrying. So you gain, but you also lose. So it really does, matter what you think, like, and what your playstyle is. But also remember, no matter what you think and what your playstyle is, in the long term, in the long run, it will make you a weaker player. And it's less skill based. It's an automatic mechanic that does the work for you, and it just kind of pops in. So it's in the long term, it's better to have like manual skill that you develop yourself instead of having playing a game that kind of plays itself. You're playing the game right in a manual way. So that's kind of why you don't want those things. So Kaguya, really good character, really strong character, very unique character, great character to use. If you like the character, use her. But she has such a unique moveset that a lot of the things that you learn with her doesn't transfer over. She has an ice and fire dimension that are really good. Of course, a lot of people like to use her, but I myself don't really like to use her. I don't like the play style. And like I said, it's kind of one of those things where too many advantages that are unique that makes the game unbalanced in whatever, right? And you might love that, and because of it, you should use it, right? But I would say no. Like, if you were asking me, should a beginner use this? I would say absolutely not. Don't do it. Would it be easy for the beginner? Yeah, it would be easy. Her bone combos are good. Her ice dimension, fire dimension, her grab is pretty good. A lot of things are good about her, but it's a unique play style that I think some people enjoy, but you would have to specifically learn the character, kind of like how you would want to learn the puppets, right? In a way. Now, Tayuya is more leaning towards that, where she's like 100% as well, a unique character, that has a doki or a puppet of her own. She's a hybrid character that also has square buttons, and she has a bunch of different things. She's very strong, very unique. often banned as well in social settings or looked down upon. If you like her, use her for sure. But because of the unique nature and that a lot of the strategies that you would use with these characters are different, I wouldn't suggest using them to beginners. So this is a dash cut here, Land of Lightning here. It's the father of the Raikage. He's also a Raikage, right? So I personally, I don't think you should use the dash cuts, and this character is not that great, not that special. He has some interesting and cool things, but I think for a beginner, he's not fantastic. He's okay, but could be a maybe, but I would just say stay away from him. This Boruto, I think, is the Ninja Tool one. Out of the 3 Borutos that you can use, this is the one I wouldn't recommend. If you like him, use him, but he's more kind of a... He's not going to be as helpful as the other Borutos that I mentioned later, okay? And I'll tell you why, but his combos don't feel as good. His jutsu isn't as good. There's just better options. We'll see later. This Naruto, even though he's really fantastic in, one of my favorite characters, in terms of the design, in terms of the anime, they didn't do a great job of him in the game. I would kind of stay away from him, surprisingly, because he's not that great. Of course, if you want to use him, but he's not very strong, surprisingly. Rin, for beginners, she has the log jutsu. She doesn't really have any other options. She has pretty good ninja tools. She doesn't have great mobility. I personally wouldn't use her as a beginner. Same thing with PTS Ino or Kid Ino. Her jutsu is really cool, really valuable, but I think that you need to be more of an advanced player to get the value out of this character. Temari too has a good jutsu and has some interesting square button combos, but you'd have to have really good mastery of fundamentals to use this character, but then once you do, she becomes a lot better. Shippuden Ino, she doesn't really fit into the meta that well, and you need really strong characters around her to make her more viable. So you can definitely use her if you like her. I used to main her in Storm 3. I liked her a lot. In Storm 2, she's one of the best characters. You just spam the Chakra Shuriken and poison your enemy. I mean, technically you could still do that in Storm 4, but because instead of 2 life bars, there's 4, right? There's a lot more health to go through, so it's a little bit more difficult to use that strategy. Also, you don't see people doing it too often in Storm 4, and it's not that favorable. And I think that's the reason why, is because it takes a really long time to do that. Her tilt is really, really good, but in Storm 3, she was a lot better because the tilt actually wasn't counterable, right? You could just throw her tilt out for free whenever there wasn't a jutsu on the field. There was no chakra recovery glitch or jutsu buffering. In Storm 3, there was no switching or anything like that, so she was a whole different character. So I would say in Revolution and Storm 3, probably Storm 3 was her best game ever. Storm 4, she's good, she's fun. I think she's like a 9 out of 10 or 8.5 out of 10 on the fun scale. But once you start running into all these different projectile-based jutsus and Naruto double Rasengan barrages and Shinra Tenseis and all this sub-trap jutsus, she's really not that good. I wouldn't recommend using her. Fun, but you're not going to win a lot with her. Iruka Sensei, pretty cool. His jutsu's kind of weird, but kind of good at the same time for zoning. His tilt's really good as well. He has the shuriken in his combo that comes out that's really useful. So if you can just do the first few hits of his combo, when the shuriken comes out, it actually is really useful, really good. But the character's not that great, not good for beginners. Kinshiki, very slow, not that good. He's more of an advanced character. And even for people that are really skilled at the game, they're going to struggle to get value. You have to be really, really dedicated and really good at the character to be good with him. Jirobo is more of an advanced character as well. I think he's really good, but he's not good for beginners. Kid Kiba or PTS Kiba, his dog also gets knocked down, but not as badly or not as easily as Shippuden Kiba. He's a little bit more stable to control as well. His ultimate jutsu is really nice. You can just throw it out as a trap. So when the dog gets hit by anything, it falls to the ground, and then you can't really do anything. You can't really block or attack, so I wouldn't really recommend it. Hanabi, her jutsu is really, really good, and she's a strike back, knockback. So if you want to use her for that, that's great, but her combos are not that good, and her awakening is okay. It's good, but it doesn't super transform something to dominate people. So use her if you want to, but I probably wouldn't. So Chiyo, I think as you become more skilled at the game, you could do better with her, but it'll be tough. Chiyo's Awakening is one of the best in the game. It's really good. She's the one puppet exception I put in the maybe, because if you can awaken with her, you can win games just based off of her awakening. But, you know, you have the issue with guard breaking easier, all this kind of stuff. It's more of an advanced character for people that are really good at the game. But so maybe. Sugetsu, his Water Dragon, has really bad tracking, not that great. His Awakening is okay. He has really good speed. He's stable. He's not super amazing. He's not going to break the game once you master him or something like that. This Sarada is the weaker Sarada. I like her a lot. She's really fun, really cool, but I put her in the maybe because, I mean, she has awakening actions, I believe, in her awakening. She's okay. She's not bad. She's fun to use, really fast, great mobility. I like her a lot, but for a beginner to win games, to feel good about the game, she doesn't fit into the Jitsu-based meta or projectile-based meta very well. This Naruto's a maybe because he's hard to control. He has amazing mobility. He's fantastic, but his Jutsu is also body-based. It's a Rasengan, so it's great if you can get people with the Rasengan. It's pretty quick. It has a substitution trap. There's all these things, but for a beginner, I mean, it could be cool, but it's a kind of like a whole different way to play the game when you use him. So I would put him in the maybe. I personally wouldn't use him if I was a beginner. Same thing with these Shippuden TenTens. Her jutsu is really good, but aside from that, her awakening is kind of good too, but you're not going to be doing very well with her if you're a beginner or if you've been struggling for years and you want to get good. These are not the characters that you go for to help you, right? Kushina as well, I like her a lot. She's really great, but more of an advanced character. Like her tilt is like the strategy revolving around her tilt and the way you use her jutsu. You have to have a good fundamental knowledge. You have to trap your opponent. You have to set up traps with the tilt and the jutsu. She has nice mash, good mash, pretty good combos and all that, but a decent awakening as well. But I wouldn't really recommend her for beginners. If you like her, use her, but it's not really going to be good for you in the long term. Haku, I really like Haku. Haku's, I think, one of the best, most underrated characters in the game. But yeah, even a lot of advanced players struggle with Haku, even struggle to see the value in Haku. So I would say maybe, right? But I wouldn't really recommend it. Well, that's the one character. That's where we start getting into these characters where I would start to personally recommend it if you are looking down the line where you want to become really good with Haku. Haku's one of these characters that has hidden depth and and skill there. There's a high skill ceiling, so that is attainable. It would be very difficult. It would take you some time, but you could start using Haku if you know you're going to put a lot of time into the game and you really like the character and you invest the time, you'll become really good with the character. The character will reward you with the tilt and the jutsu, and the speed and the control and stuff like that. So the awakening is kind of funny and interesting as well. It has like some tanking properties with the mirrors. So Zabuza as well, I guess I put in that area as well, where I think at the beginning level, Zabuza is really a little bit better for you than Haku. Later on, Haku will be better for you than Zabuza as you become more skilled. He has awakening actions that are pretty good. He's stable, he's sturdy, he's strike back, knockback, which is really useful. So I think at beginner, mid, and even higher levels, he can be pretty good, but there's better options that people usually opt for. So maybe, if you like him, you can use him. He's not amazing, but he's not horrible. This Sasuke is really, really fun, interesting, cool, and good, but low damage output. I would use Fireball. You really need to use the Fireball with him instead of the Chidori if you're a beginner. So use the Fireball Jutsu. Put him in the lead. Use the Fireball. If you want to use a specific Jutsu, put that character in the lead, but you can only pick one. You can't you can't custom Jutsu and Ultimate Jutsu for all the characters. It has to be just your lead character. So this Boruto here is a little bit better than the Ninja Tool Boruto. To be honest, I just remember his priority being a little bit better, more comfortable. His combos being a little bit better, more comfortable, like guard pressure, stuff like that. The one character I'm not entirely certain on or experienced on are the three Borutos. So I just did it enough to know that I put them in the correct order or correct-ish order. Kabuto is pretty good, but for beginners, I mean, he has good stability. He's very much like Zabuza, except for he's probably actually worse than Zabuza, to be honest. He's a little bit lower. He's probably a little bit lower rated. His tilt is pretty good with the poison. You can poison people, but they have to run into it, so that's not really the best beginner strategy to get them to run into the tilt. His jutsu's not that great. His ultimate jutsu looks cool. He has an infinite combo and all that, but I mean, beginners don't really know about infinites that much, but I do have videos on infinites on my YouTube channel if you want to know most of the infinites in the game and how to do them. I have those videos on the Don't Lose to Fear YouTube channel. So I wouldn't really recommend him. He's a maybe. It depends on your skill level, how good you are, but probably a no. If you're really good, it's a yes. If you're not that good, it's a no. It's a maybe. Fu, interesting, has really good tilt, pretty good jutsu, interesting awakening. She's fast, she's pretty cool. She's a maybe. Utakata, kind of slow, but the bubbles go crazy. They follow you around the screen, you'll notice. The square button combos. PTS Neji's jutsu is really bad. Kid Neji's jutsu is really bad, but he's a maybe. Like, his combos are really good. His combo priority is really good. His forward pressure is really good. This is where we start getting into really good forward pressure. Like, I would say this Naruto Kurama Link mode has really good forward pressure, but the combos don't stick. They don't hit as much. So this is where you start getting really sticky combos that hit. Maybe the Boruto. You need to match him up with the right characters, though. So he's a maybe. It all depends. Roshi, I guess for beginners, I would put him actually over here. At least he's probably not quite as good. If you put him in the front, you can put the air fireball. I think, jutsu, which will be better for you. His tilt is good. His air fireball jutsu is pretty good. His combo range is really not that great. Kasame is actually pretty good. We'll go with Conan. Conan's jutsu is actually pretty good. It's a pop-up jutsu and it has tracking and it's projectile, which is really, really good. But her combos are not that great. Her tilt is pretty good. She's kind of all jutsu and tilt. Her awakening is okay as well. Could be decent, but you're not going to just like win the game if you awaken with her. She's kind of mid, and for an advanced player and for a beginner, I think as you become more of an advanced player, she's a little bit better. But she's a maybe. Kasame, really great combo priority. His jutsu isn't as good, but the mash is really good, so you can just mash with him and get pretty good value. You'll probably get countered and stuff like that, but the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. His grab is pretty good. His awakening is kind of interesting as well. Sage Mode Naruto, I mean, he's okay, because in past games like Storm 2 and Storm 3, he's really, really good, especially in Storm 2. In Revolution, he was good too, and in Generations, he was pretty good. But in this game, I don't think he's that great, especially for beginners. And the same thing with these base form Narutos like Storm 2, and there's like 3 different versions, right? They're all good, but they're not that great. I mean, you can use them. These ones have better mash, right? And some air Rasengans, so they have air jutsus. They're pretty good. I like these Narutos. I definitely put them in the maybe category. You can use them if you want, but there's better choices. There's the Killer Bee Samehada with the sword. He's pretty good, but I would use the other Killer Bee over him. The one that has the tracking jutsu, the Rising Bomber, I believe it is, or yeah, it's like the lightning jutsu that is like a Chidori, but he goes around in a circle. It doesn't have long range, but it's a sub trap and gets you a lot of substitutions. So if you're going to use him, use that version, I would suggest. 5 Kage-sama, it's Sasuke. I mean, you can pick the jutsu if you put him in the front, but it doesn't really matter. He's not that great for beginners, I would say. It doesn't even really matter what jutsu you use as a beginner with him, because he's just not that great. I mean, he's a maybe, like Hidan, he has Amaterasu jutsu and all these other things, but it just doesn't really matter that much. Hidan, we have him here. For him, he's actually pretty good, but against characters like Neji and other top tier characters, he's not really that good. He kind of can't play the game that well against strong characters in this game. the only way you can really get him to play the game well and to have a decent time is to build a nice 2-man team or 3-man team. Probably with him, I would say it's preferable to have a 3-man team, like have a Shinra Tensei and a Kakuzu support or something like that. You need to have the other two characters need to be able to give him things that he doesn't have. He doesn't have a projectile. He doesn't have a projectile in his tilt or jutsu. Of course, his tilt is really cool. It's a poke tool, but if you don't switch out and make it safe, it's a detriment. His jutsu doesn't track very well. He stays on the field a long time, but it doesn't matter that much because, like, Kimimaro, for instance, is a lot better because his jutsu is calibrated more, it's balanced more, it's more effective, and it generates better pressure. So Hidan is actually much worse for beginners than, say, Kimimaro is. Kabuto as well. I would say he's more stable. He has chakra recovery in his support gate, like when the team support comes in, which is really useful. But Kabuto's jutsu doesn't track very well compared to past games. So in past games he was better, but he still was never like super high tier. I like him a lot, but he's a maybe. So Kid Kakashi and Kid Obito is also a maybe. I mean, I would prefer the fireball jutsu with both of these characters. Projectile jutsu helps you a lot in Storm 4. So think about that when you're doing it. Of course, Chidori is cool, and he has an enhanced Chidori. This Kakashi's tilt is really good. He's probably better. But because this one standard comes with the fireball, some people don't even know they can change jutsus if they put them in the lead or they don't want to because they're putting a different lead in. This character is probably better. He's a little bit more stable. Now, this double Sharingan Kakashi and Hokage Kakashi, it's a different costume. It's the same Kakashi. You know, his tilt is really good. His character is not that great. The other Storm 2 Kakashi, Great Ninja War Kakashi from Storm 3 is better, but the tilt is really good. You can absorb things with the tilt. So you can use that to your advantage. It's very easy to tilt. I have a guide on how to tilt if you want to know how to do it on my channel. Now, Masked Man is also pretty good. He has an awakening that gives him invincibility, but that alone doesn't win you games. So I would say his jutsu is really good. It kind of goes through everything. It's been weakened down and dumbed down or nerfed, but it's really good still. It's still kind of invincible and goes through things. In startup frames and ending frames, it's not as good, but it is what it is. Now, Choji, it's got the dash cut thing going for it, where I think that you probably shouldn't really use dash cut, but I mean, if you want to, you can. I gave my reasons already. Now, Road to Boruto Choji's Awakening is actually really good, so I'd put him higher, but I'm just putting these ones in as they are here. His jutsu is really good. He's a good character, but because he's a dash cut, I put him in the maybe. Yamato, same thing, is in the maybe, but his tilt is really good. For beginners, it's very easy to do. You just tilt, the big wooden 2x4 comes out, and it just hits everything. So it's really good. His ultimate jutsu is okay. It's kind of slow. I mean, he's okay. For beginners, dash cut can help. These are good options here. Mifune, his jutsu is really interesting, unique, and cool. In past games, his mash was really strong, but they nerfed him. It's still really good. His tilt's good, but I don't know how useful that will be for beginners. It's more of an advanced character. I think he's really highly rated for advanced characters, but for beginners, he's just a maybe. Something you probably want to focus on as a beginner is to get them in your jutsu. If you can get them in their jutsu when they're standing still, you get them in a cinematic sequence, and it freezes time. It looks really cool, and they can't do anything. Any supports that they summon will be vanquished. They'll waste their support, and you'll get them in the cinematic sequence, and you'll get some damage. So, I mean, he's pretty cool like that if you can keep getting the jutsu to land over and over again. Shikamaru is pretty decent. He's more of an advanced character. I put him here, I think, because the awakening actions are pretty cool. He's pretty stable. He's definitely more of an advanced character. Probably I'll put him here, actually. Sakura is really easy to use, especially her Cherry Blossom Clash. So that's the one where she jumps into the air and she hits them down with a fist. You want to put her in the lead and get that jutsu if you can, right? Because some of these, I think this Sakura comes with it naturally, so you don't have to pick it. You can put her as a support or a second or third option in your team. But with the other ones, you kind of need I think some of the other ones here, they'll have different jutsus, and you don't really want that jutsu. You get chakra recovery. If you awaken, you get really fast chakra recovery. She's pretty good, pretty stable, has pretty decent mash, like decent tilt. She's okay. She's not bad, but the Cherry Blossom Clash can be interrupted, but it usually doesn't get interrupted, which is pretty interesting. That's the other thing with Tsunade. Her Heaven Kick of Pain always gets interrupted a lot more than Sakura's. And Sakura's doesn't have bad tracking like Tsunade's. So you always use Sakura over Tsunade. She's better if you're playing online, right? If you're playing offline, then you can actually play this character. There's a difference between offline and online, right? Momoshiki, I think he's more of an advanced character. A lot of great things going for him. Like when you grab, you get an attack up. Cool jutsu, doesn't cost a lot of chakra. He has infinites and all this. But for a beginner, it's not that great. I wouldn't really recommend him. There's better options. Kimimaru, really, really kind of stable character, but he doesn't fit well into the jutsu-based meta. More of an advanced character, in my opinion. A lot of people like him, though, so use him if you like him. I think that the Kid Shikamaru is a lot better because he has that projectile-based jutsu. This is where things start getting interesting again and things start changing. You can basically just keep spamming this jutsu, and his tilt also has a projectile. So his tilt and his jutsu has a projectile. He has really cool, good, interesting combos and combo priority, and he's pretty good. Like, this is one of these characters that I would really start recommending, but I can't fully recommend because it's not completely beginner friendly, and it's not going to completely carry you in the game, if that makes sense. But it could be a yes, but it's at the top of maybe. Mitsuki, his jutsu is really, really good. One of the best in the game. Not quite the best, but I mean, it's like top 30 for sure. It's not bottom 30, it's not mid, it's like top 30. Really, really good jutsu. Cool character, but I don't know if I would recommend him. I think there's better characters. Now, the third Hokage, his base form is like kind of bland and not that cool. His grabs are cool. His Enma is pretty cool. Like, I think it's the down combo where he summons Enma in his combos. But his jutsus are not that great. Dragon Flame Bombs, Fireball, that kind of stuff. I don't really remember, but they're not that great. But his Awakening, this is where you start getting like basically similar to Chiyo. Like, I would say Chiyo's Awakening is better than his still, but the Awakening actions in this can carry you and win you games. So, and it's lag proof or has lag resistance. So in a game where the game starts lagging or the delayed based netcode starts acting up, you can just press the Awakening actions and it kind of does the work for you in terms of the neutral, doing some damage, doing some guard pressure, that kind of thing. So he's a maybe. He's not a yes, he's a maybe, but like, he can work pretty good for you if you use those Shuriken Awakening actions. Now, even though this is often cited as the best Sasuke in the game, which he wasn't a long time ago, but when I came back on the scene 2 years ago, I started, saying this and telling everyone, hey, he's like probably the best Sasuke in the game. It's not the last Sasuke, it's not Wandering Sasuke, it's this Sasuke. Now, for me, it's between this Sasuke and EMS Sasuke, but I'll tell you more about that later in a different video. This is a guide for beginners. So this Sasuke is interesting. If you want to play the game a long time, you really like the game, you should start using this Sasuke early because you'll develop your skills with him early. And he has a lot of interesting techniques and abilities like a tilt, Shuriken, really advanced combos though, so it's not beginner friendly. If you use the Fireball, use them as the first character, use the Inferno Fireball Jutsu, then for sure, it's going to help you a lot. It's going to be great. But the last Sasuke and Wandering Sasuke is much better for a beginner. And even for most advanced players, they like the stability of that character. And it's still, those other Sasukes are still used today because of the stability and a couple other things. This Sasuke is fantastic at a high level, but more things can go wrong. And he's a bit harder to control. Actually, he's probably significantly harder to control. So he's a maybe for beginners. But for advanced players, he's a yes, right? So let's go to the yes. I got Tobi, Orange Mask. His base form is tough. He kind of just flails his arms around, doesn't do a lot, but his jutsu is one of the best in the games. It stays around a long time. They all keep running into those minefield jutsus. It's really, really good for beginners. It's really good for advanced players too. His Awakening is one of the most fun in the game, if not the most fun, but unfortunately it doesn't last a long time, so you can't use it that much. So he is a yes, but at the bottom of yes for his jutsu and his awakening, but you don't want to spend a lot of time with him when you're playing. You want to switch out of him and use that right analog to switch out, right? So, and get into something more stable for your main and for the majority of the fight. His tilt is kind of interesting, and his grab is really cool. I mean, you can get people with the grab, but more so in other games, but in Storm 4, it's like not as good. Kabuto is actually really good, Sage Mode Kabuto, especially for beginners and probably advanced players. He's pretty good. I don't think his skill ceiling is super high, but he is a good character. His jutsu is projectile based. His tilt is projectile based. His combos are really good, has poison and stuff like that. His awakening is pretty cool too. It's a very good character, you know, for beginners to use. You should definitely use this character. Now, Asuma is really good. His awakening is really good. His combos are really good. His combo priority is really good. His damage is good. His ninja tools are good. His jutsu is not that good, but especially for beginners, even advanced players can have a hard time with his jutsu. So he's at the bottom of yes. I like him a lot. I think if you like him, you should use him. He's a yes. Mecha Naruto is a yes. His awakening is kind of crazy. His Rasengan is pretty good. It kind of comes back in boomerangs. His combo and combo priority is really good. His damage is good. He's a yes. He's a good character. You know, I think he first came in Revolution, but he's really good. All of the Lees are good. The Kid Rock Lee, the Adult Rock Lee, definitely a yes. His awakening, the Shippuden Lee's awakening is really good. His jutsu is good. His awakening actions are decent. You can just dash at people and combo them. If you learn how to dash stop, it's really good. You can pressure people. He's just so amazing. Kid Lee is really awesome to use, but he's at the bottom of yes. Definitely would recommend it, but you know, these characters suffer because they don't have projectile based jutsu. It's all taijutsu. The other thing about him, and the reason why maybe you wouldn't want to use him, or he would be in the maybe category potentially, is that both of those Lee's jutsus take up like half of your chakra bar. So it's horrible. It's a horrible punish. I don't know why that's in the game, but it's a deterrent. People don't like to use the character for one of those main reasons, that his jutsu cost is extraordinarily high for no reason, and it's a punish, and it's not good. So if you notice you're using these characters, do not use their jutsus over and over again unless you're Rock Lee Shippuden or older Rock Lee in the awakening form. Maybe even this one in awakening form is not that bad, but in base form, you kind of want to stay away from the jutsu. You kind of want to use it as a support and then switch around and that kind of thing. You can do the chakra recovery glitch or the jutsu buffer, and but it's risky, right? If you don't get it right, you lose like half your chakra bar or a lot of chakra, whatever it is. Karen Jutsu, amazing. Stable character, doesn't have good range. Her awakening increases that range into like a shot that shoots across the map. But that perfume jutsu has always been one of the best jutsus in every single Storm game, from Storm 2 to Storm 4. Really good. I'm sure in Connections it'll also be good. Jiraiya is good, but he's not that great. Definitely his awakening, he's a stable character in base form, but his awakening is what you want to be using with his jutsu, with his combos, with his tilt, if you're close enough. Basically his combos and his jutsu in awakening, and you can really pressure people. You get that neutral for free, especially the mid-range. You can just close up on your opponent. You can get them with a Rasengan. Rasengan does quite a bit of damage in base form. Not bad, you know. He needs some other characters around him like Hidan, but unlike Hidan, who doesn't have an ultimate to actually fall back on, Jiraiya does, so I would say yes, bottom of yes. Sakura, I mean, I guess I'll just put her kind of like at the bottom of yes. Like, she's good, surprisingly. You'll see when you use her, she's a booby trap. People can run into that. Good combos, good priority, good safety. It's kind of weird. She gets the chakra recovery. She's pretty good. Hashirama alive, not Sage Mode. He's really good, really fast, has good strength, has good mobility. You can use his Shuriken Jutsu if you put him in the lead. If not, then he has the ground running jutsu. A lot of people don't like it, but I like it. I think it's really good, but it's more for advanced players and setups and people that want to play that play style. So Kid Naruto is pretty excellent, but I mean, he has his pitfalls, so he could be in the maybe as well as with PTS Sakura, but I put them in the yes because, I mean, their mash is pretty good. You'll get a lot of sort of forward pressure and neutral for free with these characters. His Rasengan follows you around the map, and it's a cinematic sequence as well. So if you can get them in the cinematic sequence, that's a bonus. You can, when you switch back into him, if you use them as a support and then switch back into them when they're close by, you can get them in a trap every single time. It's really good. Hitbox is pretty crazy on that one. Yagura's Jutsu has tracking. It's on the ground. It's pretty good. You can use the tilt as a shield to shield most things. Yeah, Yagura is not bad. I would say you can use Yagura, but the skill ceiling is probably not that high. So for long term, it's not the greatest thing. Some of these characters for long term are not the greatest thing. Like Storm 2 Kakashi and Storm 3 Kakashi, Great Ninja War. Definitely use them. They're great characters, great hitboxes, really nice mash, nice combos. I prefer Chidori. If you want to use these characters, probably use the Chidori or put him in the lead, right? And put the fireball. But you're probably better off leaving him as a support and putting him just with the lightning blade Chidori. The two best jutsus though, avoid the water dragon if you can. Tracking is broken, it's not very good. He kind of fell from grace from past games, though. In past games, he was stronger, but he still is good in this game. He still is really strong. But for beginners, definitely use him, but he's not your best option. There's better options. Alive Minato, get them with the Rasengan. You have the best mobility in the game, if not first or second best. It's really good. You can throw chakra shurikens to do chip damage. He's more an advanced character, right? So, like, Edo Minato is a lot better for beginners, but as you get better at the game, Alive Minato, whether it's Hokage or Jonin, ends up being better long term. So this character is more an advanced character, unfortunately, so you're not going to be winning a lot of games, but you can get them in Rasengans. You can use your mobility to protect yourself, to dodge, and all that kind of thing. So that's pretty good. Every Hinata is good with every jutsu. Her air palms is good, but her protection jutsu, the original run from Storm 2, is even more stable, even better. It never fails for the most part. It does what it's supposed to do all the time. The air jutsu, you need to like practice it. You have to understand how it works. You have to understand the properties. It's more of an advanced thing, but I mean, you could get lucky as a beginner and it could just work for you at random times. So every Hinata is good. Every jutsu is good. If you are not that sure about how the game really works and you're not that confident in your skill, maybe don't use the air palm. Konohamaru is pretty good. Good mash, good tilt, good awakening actions when you awaken with him, good Rasengan. Everything about him is good. He's got the sexy jutsu, ultimate jutsu. Great character. Yeah, use him. Madaras are good. The alive Madaras, the fan Madara, and the Storm 3 Madara without the fan, the one that you first see that takes on all the ninjas in the Great Ninja War or whatever. They're both really good. All the jutsus are good. Everything about him is good. His combos have longer range. Strike back, knock back. Very good. You know, doesn't have the greatest combos. Like, he has good combos, but at the same time doesn't. It's hard to explain for a beginner. His arms have long range, but sometimes, like, you can get countered when you use him. He's great, though. Use him. He's really good. Sakun, really good jutsu. Pretty good tilt. Awakening is not bad either, but I think the jutsu would really help beginners. When you put it up, that wall can help you get chakra back, help you organize your thoughts, and help stop people from dashing you, double dashing you, doing all this crazy stuff. It gives you space to breathe. If you like that, Sakun and his Rashomon or wall jutsu is really good. Sai is really good. The tracking is great on his ink beasts that follow you around the map. His chakra shuriken is good as well. He's probably more of an advanced character, but at least as a support, he's pretty good for you. Kidomaru is a pretty good character. His jutsu is really good. The spiders come out, they follow you, they track you in the air. They're phenomenal. They're really, really good. His air combo is good, so you jump and you just press the square button or you press the combo button in the air. Not the ground combo, but the alternate button for the square button characters. Temari as well, her chakra shuriken is really good, but you know, you can basically, she's really good at just spamming her wind combos on the ground. I would not use her regular combos if you're a beginner with either one of these characters, Kidomaru or Temari, but he's really good. This Mizukage is also really good as well. They're all about the same. I mean, There are definitely big differences between them, but as a beginner, like these square buttons, they just go hard. They help you. They carry you a lot. Especially Shino, he'll carry you a lot because he tracks. The combos actually track. The bugs go around left or right and follow the person. Um, this Mizukage is a good Chakra Shuriken as well. Gaara. Okay, so put him in the lead, put the Sand Shower Jutsu in, but even if you don't, the ground Jutsu is pretty good. Just make sure to have that Gaara a little bit further behind so that the ground-based Jutsu can like land. He's pretty good. He's got really good air combos, really good ground combos, amazing grab. This is a great character to use. If you like Gaara, you can use any of these Gaaras. Any of the Jutsus are fine. Sand Shower usually is the one that goes hard, goes crazy. It does a lot of the work for you. If you want to be more skilled and learn the game, then maybe just don't use Sand Shower, but it doesn't really matter. Both are good. Raikage is really good. I think his Strike Back, Knockback, his Ninja Tools are interesting. His combos are really good, and his combo priority is really good. I think this is where we start to get really, like, Storm 2 Kakashi is kind of like that too. But you start to get some really crazy combos here. And damage output, right? So, like, this guy has crazy damage output. He's really good for a beginner. I think you're going to like him as a beginner. He doesn't have projectiles, though, or anything like that, so, like, he may not be this highly rated for a beginner, but he's still in the yes, in my opinion. He could be lower on this list for sure. Guy, especially Night Guy, any of the guys are good, but he's a dash cut. He's the best dash cut, in my opinion, for a beginner. His combos are good. His combos are fast. His damage is good. His dynamic entry is okay. I mean, it's not what it was in Storm 2. His Night Guy Awakening, if you can use Night Guy, man, you can just decimate people with him even as a beginner with his jutsu or his combos. Even the non-Night Guy version still is really good in Awakening, but not quite as good. So yeah, he's good. Use him. White Masked Obito, really good. I think he got a speed increase from past games. Both of his jutsus are good, but I think it's the Fire Pillar Jutsu. It's not called that. It's called something else. So the Great Fan Fire or something jutsu. 3 fire jutsus go on the ground and track. It's really, really good. His speed is good. His tilt is good. You have a small little window, but you can use his tilt to be invincible for free, but then switch out of it if you can to be safe into another character. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch my beginner's guide on the Don't Lose to Fear YouTube channel. It'll teach you all the basics, or most of the basics that you need to know. So I would recommend that. Shino, really cool. He has a Chakra Shuriken that's like old games that has like a massive stun, long stun. So that's really good. You jump and throw that when they're vulnerable, and then they get stunned and you get free entries. But that, this is more of an advanced character. So I would say he's more of an advanced character, but he'll give you things that you don't realize that you have that are really good, like priority. His jutsu's a sub trap. His jutsu's really good. If you can get them stuck in the bug jutsu, it's really, really good. The Awakening is okay. I mean, he's a great character. Yes, use him. Dowry, use his tilt, use his jutsu, use his combos and his mash. He's really great. Use his awakening actions. You don't actually need to really awaken with him. If you awaken with him, it might not necessarily even be good with you. You can stay in base form. Everything about him is good. He's a great character. Use him. Onaki, his jutsu is really good, really helpful for beginners. His tilt's not bad. His mash is pretty good. Use this character. Awakening is like not that great, not that special. It could be okay, but just use his jutsu, use his tilt, and try to combo people with him, or use his jutsu primarily. With Dowry, use the tilt a lot. You'll get countered, but it's okay. It'll work sometimes for you. Use him as a support. Use him as a main. He's pretty good. He's more of a skill-based character, but he does give you a lot of entry-level things like tracking and good priority. So, Six Pass Madara, I mean, just use his Awakening and use his Awakening actions, and you'll do just fine. Any jutsu is good with him. He's a little hard to use, I think, for beginners. He's more of an advanced character. He's a great character. People love to use him, but I wouldn't really recommend him that much as a beginner, but yes, use him. I know that's a little bit whatever, but I mean, there's a lot of options, right? You can only use 3 characters maximum, and you can use 2 or 3 characters. So that's why I'm saying the things that I'm saying, because you have a lot of options. There's over 120 characters, so you can only pick 3, right? So you have to think about that. Mei, Definitely, you can use her. Her jutsu's good. Her combos are good, especially the second hit in her combo as a water bullet. It kind of like is one of the best things in the game. It's kind of crazy. Her awakening is pretty good. She has interesting awakening actions. Definitely use her. She's fantastic. Second Hokage, use him. His jutsu is one of the best in the game. Use the water wall if you can. It's the base form, so you can use him as a support. Like, pick him second or third or first. It doesn't really matter. I'd probably pick him second or third. That way you don't have to waste the jutsu selection that you can have with another character. So there's that. His awakening actions go crazy. Like, the water bullets fall from the sky, track, they do crazy guard break, they do crazy damage. It's amazing. Use Tobirama, he's amazing. Now, Boruto, this is the one on the top end of the screen. This is the one that has the, I think, water bullet tilt. He has the air Rasengan. This is the best Boruto to use. That's why I didn't really talk too much about the other ones. I think this is the best one. If you don't use this one, then you use this one here that's smiling. Do not use the one... Oh, there he is. The one that's yelling, I wouldn't use him. He's the Ninja Tool one. You can, but, I mean, I wouldn't. Because this one is a lot better. Deidara, use him. You can use his, square button combos or the projectile combos, right? Not the ground one where he's punching, but the one where the birds come out, and then if you hold the up combo, the bird comes out and sends him up into the sky, and it's really, really good, his up combo. You can use that. Hebi Sasuke or Sasuke True Spear is really good. You can use him. He's stable character, well-balanced character. I would recommend him. Kakuzu is really good. He only has that one jutsu. It has really good tracking and has strike back, knockback. It's not a substitution trap, I don't think, but it's really good. His combos are pretty good. He has good priority, great character. Definitely use him. His awakening is not that great, but I mean, just use his base form and you'll go far. Use him as a support. Don't put him in the front lead. Edo, Itachi, and the other Itachi, they're all the same. They just look different, right? Because they all have the same combos. Maybe they're not exactly the same, but they're 99% the same, okay? So they all have the same combos, and if you put them in the lead, you can have every jutsu that they have, especially Anbu. Like, the sticker isn't here or the avatar isn't here, but the Anbu Itachi is really good. He goes hard as well. It's all mainly just a skin, though. Use every jutsu. You can use the super clone. You can use I would recommend Fireball Jutsu or Amaterasu. Probably Fireball's best, then Amaterasu, and then super clone. But they're all good. It all depends on your team build, and whatever your team build is, the one jutsu will be better than the other. His crows are pretty good. Gives you invincibility. You can use that. His combos are not that great for beginners. In that sense, he's kind of a maybe, but definitely use him. He's the most used character in the game. Naruto used the double Rasengan Barrage, and you can go pretty far with him, but the last Naruto is much better. TenTen, PTS TenTen, I know it's weird to see her up here, but you can just spam her jutsu at low chakra cost and jump in the air and just use her shurikens, like the square button, right, where she just throws a line of shurikens. Surprisingly, it does really well. You don't want to use her as a main, like when you're comboing, you don't really want to hit people with her too much. You end up losing damage output. You want to switch, once you get combo priority, you want to switch into something else that has a higher damage output, like Itachi or Sasuke or Kakuzu or something, so the road to Boruto Sasuke, I think, is better than the road to Boruto Naruto. You can use Infernal Fireball, which is really good. You can use Heavenly Hand Power. You can use Chidori. I would recommend those three jutsus. It all depends. Probably the Infernal Fireball will be the easiest for you to use. It'll trump a lot of things in the game. Kid Gaara, just use the Sand Shower Jutsu. If you put him first, you'll always have that option to get the Sand Shower Jutsu. There is the alternate Gaara here that has like a different Sand Jutsu that's not that great. But if you put him in the lead, you can always use Sand Shower, so that's why they're both there. Edo Minato is like the ultimate beginner character. People love him. He's fantastic. He has kind of everything you need. You can throw his ultimate jutsu out, get free neutral, free pressure, and most likely land at least a few ultimate jutsus when you play throughout the night, because the netcode's not that good, and people move and people get hit by stuff, and the substitution button doesn't work, and the guard button doesn't work sometimes, and sometimes you catch people when they're moving. You get them with Rasengans. One of the fastest Rasengans, best animations in the game. You just get them Rasengan. Good mash. You can get him with the mash when you're nearby. The enhanced Rasengan is pretty good. You press triangle and hold down circle, and then you can fly across the map, and you can get some mobility options. It's really great. His awakening is pretty fun too, pretty interesting. Gets some pretty good value. He's like, he's a really great beginner character. Into the 100%. So instead of just yes, it's 100%. So Sarada, the one with the lightning flicker kunai jutsu and the booby trap tilt, this is the one you want to use. Her second hit goes crazy, kind of one of the strongest things in the game. Definitely use the character. You can abuse a lot of these characters are abusable now, right? But it doesn't really matter that much. It's more about using them, getting value. So the 6-pass Obito, his mash is really good, tilt is good, jutsu is really good. Definitely use those things. His awakening is okay. Just stay in base form, I think, for the most part, and you can just outmash a lot of stuff. You can have a really quick jutsu if you want to just, snipe someone with it. The tilt gives you long-range pressure, but the mash goes crazy. So Orochimaru, one of the best supports in the game, really, really good combo priority, a bunch of stuff. So you want the tracking snake jutsu that turns him into a snake and goes all over the map, right? That's the one that you want. You don't want the sword jutsu. I mean, you could use that. It's fun, it's interesting, it's cool. But the best one, the most reliable one for you, it gives you anti-air properties, it gives you tracking, it kind of does everything for you in the game. You can switch back and forth between him and another character by pressing the switch analog and switching. So he's great. His awakening is pretty good too. When you awaken with him, he turns into like an even bigger snake and poisons you and guard breaks you. It's crazy. Neji, definitely one of the best characters in the game to use. His mash goes insane. His jutsu is really good. The protective trigram jutsu saves you. The air pump jutsu is okay too. It's not bad. It's actually really good too. Usually want to go for the trigrams spinning jutsu and just mash like crazy with him. Basically his tilt's amazing too, but I mean, we're talking about beginners here, so I mean, you probably don't want to tilt as a beginner with him. It'll leave you open and exposed, so you just want to kind of mash with him. It's kind of basic like that, but it is what it is. It's effective. A lot of people like to use it. A lot of people find it enjoyable. A lot of people don't like it being used on them, and he's leg resistance and has leg resistance and is almost leg proof, right? If there's some characters that were leg proof, he'd be up in the up there in that list. Rasa really good. Jutsu goes crazy. Really reliable. Stonewalls people. His combos on the ground are good. Combos in the air are good, like air combos, right? Priority is insane all around. His grab is pretty good. Down combo, one of the best in the games. I think it's his down combo. It's really, really good. Great character. Use him. Nagato, really good. Probably use Shinra Tensei. I like the Rinnegan Azura distance attack, but I mean, basically, almost everyone doesn't use that. They use the Shinra Tensei. Awakening is pretty good too. Mash is insane. A shuriken comes out and kind of just trumps a lot of things in the game. His ultimate jutsu is really good too. It goes crazy. It trumps most things in the game. This Obito actually, Shisui jutsu really good. Both jutsus are really good, but the Halo jutsu, one with the 3 blades, flame blades, is the one you probably want to use. I think that's his base form one. His awakening is really good too. His tilt is interesting. His combos are pretty good. Kind of hard to control. Like for beginners, you're going to get a lot of value, but as you become more of an advanced player, you're going to get even more value. So he's another one of those characters that has a high skill ceiling too. So he's a great character if you want to use him as a beginner, because even later on, those dividends will pay off, right? Yukito, really good. Her tilt is insane. One of the best in the game. Some people think it's the best in the game. Awakening is pretty good. Her mash is insane. So her tilt and her mash. Just remember, her tilt and her mash and occasional jutsu. That's what you want to do with her. Her grab is pretty good too. So you just mash like crazy. Really good stuff. If you're in the close enough area, right? Proximity. But tilt and mash and occasional jutsu. This Obito, you just want to tilt, and then you get close, and then you try to jump and hold guard. If you want to learn how to jump cancel, watch my tutorial in the Master Guide section. I have a video on how to jump cancel and how to do different cancels. Once you learn those, then you can just use this Obito. You just tilt through everything, invincibility, full range, one of the best characters in the game. Most people don't use him. It's so good. Once you learn how to use him, it's easy. It just counters everything in the game. Put him in the lead, get the fireball. Don't use the stick wood twig jutsu thing. You get good ninja tools, you get the fireball. And you get probably the best tilt in the game, if not one of the best. It just goes through everything. It goes all through the jutsus, everything, nothing hurts you. His awakening is okay. It's not that great. Danzo, one-hit kill in his awakening. His awakening blades, normal attacks have these blades, wind blades that just give you neutral for free, like Asuma, but probably even better maybe. And he has a much better jutsu than Asuma. So he's kind of like, Asuma's kind of like the budget Danzo without an insta-kill. And with a worse jutsu, you know. So, and with a worse tilt, but, you know, he's really, really good. The thing is, though, Asuma does have a jutsu trap in his, sorry, a substitution trap in his jutsu, so there's that. So, like, that, a lot of the stuff doesn't really matter to beginners so much, but I think beginners 100% use Danzo. He's great for you. Tilt is great. In base form, tilt, jutsu, grab, everything about him is good. His awakening is insane, top tier. Pain. Awakening, one of the best in the games. It's better than Nagato's awakening. It has a little bit more mobility, and things are detached to making it easier, like the missile awakening action is better. You get strike back, knockback. It's really good. Just use this character. You can combo with him. You can jutsu with him. It's good. This Nagato has better combos, right? But it is what it is. EMS Sasuke is pretty good. So the reason why I'll put Pain up here is because I think you can just put him in as a support, like as your second or third option. Just always put him in as your second or third option if you want. And then you'll always have a strike back and knockback, and that'll help you a lot, right? Like, Nagato combos are probably better, but it doesn't, the order of it doesn't really matter that much. They're all in the 100%, you know. EMS Sasuke is really good. His mash is good. His tilt is good. His ultimate jutsu is good. Probably use Chidori or Fireball. Some of the other jutsus are maybe not that great to use, okay? The last Sasuke, Wandering Sasuke. Infernal Fireball, for sure, all the way. You can use other jutsus if you want. Combos are insane. Easy infinite to learn. When the Universal Pull Chippik Tensei thing comes out, in the combo you just jump and you can get an infinite. It's very easy to learn. You can learn from my tutorials. Use the double Rasengan round barrage jutsu. I forget the specific name of it, but it's the one where the two Naruto clones come out. So you get a double projectile sub trap with tracking. Absolutely insane. One of the best jutsus in the game, maybe the best jutsu in the game. And then Hashirama is like the ultimate character to use for beginners. Great mash, great range, great priority. Has stun locks. Has an insane shuriken jutsu that tracks you throughout the map. And even has a substitution trap. Has a decent awakening too, pretty good. Really ultimate character there for you, like any of these characters in the 100% list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like the video and share the video. And more importantly, I hope you have a fantastic day, an amazing day. If not, I hope it gets better for you soon. Peace.